In the mid-90s, we were introduced to a new genre of games. A genre that has grown to become one of the most beloved genres in video gaming history. Survival horror. Survival horror was introduced to the world in 1996 with the release of Resident Evil. Resident Evil brought us horror gameplay that we never had before. Using pre-rendered backgrounds for atmosphere, fixed camera angles, inventory management, and a focus on exploration, we were treated to the makings of a genre that many others would try to emulate. One notable series that was able to follow the success of Resident Evil was Silent Hill. The reason why I needed to mention this is because Tormented Souls is heavily inspired by Resident Evil and Silent Hill. The premise of Tormented Souls starts off pretty simple. You play as a woman named Caroline Walker, and after she receives a mysterious letter with a photo of two twin girls, she decides to go investigate the location the letter was sent from. This leads to a terrifying mansion where she is knocked unconscious. She wakes up naked in a bathtub attached to a breathing machine. Oh, and she also has one of her eyes removed. She must now uncover this mystery and escape this hellish mansion that is combined with an old-fashioned hospital. The game atmosphere is extremely pleasing, especially to fans of the genre. The halls of this mansion are dimly lit with candlelight or scattered light fixtures. It is very reminiscent to the Spencer Mansion in Resident Evil Remake. The sounds that echo through the halls also make it seem like the mansion itself is alive, which adds to the uneasiness as you traverse this labyrinth. Exploration is heavily emphasized, more so than combat. Much like the Resident Evil games that this game draws inspiration from, exploration relies on puzzle solving and obtaining key items to progress. A lot of these puzzles are typically not so obviously solved, which can leave you scratching your head for a while as you rattle your brain trying to figure things out. And a lot of times the solutions will leave you with that "oh" moment. Combat follows a simple approach. You have your ranged weapon and you have your melee weapon. Notice how I said ranged weapon as opposed to guns? This is because the game utilizes unconventional weapons, unlike Resident Evil titles. This is a little more in line with how Silent Hill lets you use various melee weaponry. Instead of a typical handgun, you are given a nail gun as your standard weapon of choice. The shotgun, for example, is not a normal shotgun. Instead, you find two items that, when combined, make this makeshift pipe shotgun that only holds one round at a time. So while very powerful, it leaves you vulnerable as you have to reload after every shot. Melee combat is slow and clunky, and not ideal at all. Caroline's form of melee combat is by use of a crowbar that is swung very slowly, to where you usually get hit a couple times while trying to kill an enemy. Even when using your nail gun, you are left vulnerable as you cannot move while aiming. Again, something similar to the old Resident Evil games. But to balance this issue, the game does give you a dodge as well as auto aim. Truth be told, I always forget about the dodge mechanic, because most of these style of games don't typically have one. Storytelling is done in the same manner as Resident Evil and Silent Hill games. You have the main story laid out before you where your character has their journey, while the rest of the story is told by picking up articles, notes, journal entries, and more. These pieces of the story build to the lore of the game, and while not necessary, they do give you so much more information about what is really going on. Now let's take a step back and talk about things I don't like. Mainly the map. Just like the games it takes inspiration from, Tormented Souls has a map that you piece together. Each floor of the mansion and each wing of the floors has their own map. You can find the maps as you progress. The problem here is that it's a very difficult map to use. Unlike other Metroidvania style games, Let's be honest, these types of games are Metroidvania with the progression style they use. This game does not show you where you are relative to your map. Instead of a marker on your map to show you exactly where you are, you have to rely on the randomly placed maps on the walls to show you exactly where you are. The problem here lies in the fact that when you look at the map you're carrying, you don't know the orientation of your character, so you end up taking a lot of wrong turns. But I could even maybe overlook this issue, since the game tells you the name of each room you enter, but sometimes the name of the room doesn't match the name of the map. For example, there's a room on the map named Store. So you think, okay, maybe this game has a merchant system. You enter the room and the name on screen is Warehouse. Now this is something I feel is more of a translation error, since the game's native language is Spanish. You see, warehouse in Spanish is Deposito, but Deposito translates to deposit or store. This is something that can be fixed in a patch. Same thing with adding an indicator on your map to show you where you are. But for the most part, I don't really have any complaints. Tormented Souls is a game that is horrifying in a way games haven't been for a very long time. From atmosphere to the music and enemies, it acts as a love letter to the genre that many fans grew up with. If you're looking for a game to fill that survival horror void, this is it. Or if you're new to the survival horror genre and want to check this one out, you can't go wrong here. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.